Good day. Welcome to Object-Oriented Programming. For this week, we will discuss about attributes, methods, constructors, characters, and string. Introduction. Syntax for class and attributes. In Java, a program is a collection of one or more classes. So, a very simple application program must have at least one class. The basic syntax of class can be shown using a syntax template as follows. So, we have here the access modifiers, class, and also the class name, and then the class modifiers. And then inside the implementation is the members, attributes, and the fields. So an item inside a pair of square brackets in a syntax template is optional. So meaning to say this access modifiers here and the class modifiers and also the members, attributes, and fields are optional. So meaning to say you could just omit those um, sections of a class or syntax of a class. And then in the template, class name is a name you would like to give to the class. And then the optional members consist of attributes and operations of the class. So this is the part wherein we declare our attributes or instance variables or fields or members. Okay, so you could just interchange those words. It's all the same. And then the optional access modifiers determines, among other things, the accessibility of the class to other classes and Java Virtual Machine. So these access modifiers here, for example, the public access modifier or private access modifier. So if it is public, then meaning to say it is accessible to other classes. If it's private, meaning to say that this class here cannot be accessed by other classes. So that's I think uh, we're not doing that because since that's why we created this class in order for it to be accessed by other classes. So most of the time, the access modifier of this class is public. Okay, or uh, we're not just specifying the access modifier for this class. Okay. And then, for example, the access modifier public makes a class accessible to JVM because JVM needs access to your program. Okay, just like what I've said a while ago. And then every application must have one class with public or package access. And then we will have more to say about this topic later. Both public and class are reserved words or keywords. So meaning to say, a reserved word is a word with special meaning. So for example, the reserved word class indicates the beginning of a class definition. We cannot declare a variable with a name class or public since they are reserved words. For example, int public or int class. So you cannot use public or class in declaring a variable. It would create an error. Okay? In syntax template, all reserved words are shown in blue text. So actually, class, by default, those reserved words are shown in blue text. But there are some programmers or some IDEs or text editor that doesn't use color coding. So meaning to say it may appear like in different color. Let's say green or orange or violet. So don't practice yourself depending on the or relying on the color of the text just to be just to show that it is a reserved word. So you have to understand, or let's just say recognize all the reserved words that is available in Java. So an example of that is the public and the class. Okay, so there are more reserved words, and I think as you practice coding in Java, you'll be able to memorize all of them. Okay, maybe not all, but at least most of them. Okay, so the optional class modifier will not be discussed in this module, but basically it's just for inheritance or interface. So there's also a keyword used in inheritance and or interface. Okay, so following the reserved word class, you must supply a name for the class. Note that the name identifies a class. Okay, similarly, you need to provide a name to attributes and operations of a class. All such names are collectively known as identifiers. Okay, so the name that we give to our class or attributes or methods are called the identifiers. Okay, so we identify those operations or elements of a class. So here's an example. We have here the access modifier, public, the keyword class that indicates that we're going to create a class, and then the class name, which is the sample class. And here we have another keyword extends, meaning to say that you are going to inherit properties or methods to some superclass. So some superclass is another class. Okay, this is the parent class or superclass. It's just the same thing. You could interchange those terms in uh, in Java programming language. It's either parent class or superclass. It's just the same. Okay, so here we use the keyword extends. Okay, extends in applying inheritance to these classes. Okay, so the parent class is the some superclass, child class is the sample class. And then here inside the implementation of this class, we will see the access modifier, private, and then the data type, string, int, and also the char. And then we have the attribute name, and then the value which is sample. So we assign this value to attribute name. And then age to 20. So I mean to say the age is equal to 20. Section is equals to A. So it's just like in simple math, just like what I have discussed to you last time. It's like a simple math wherein in high school we use variables like this. Um, example, let x equal to 20. So we don't know what is x. So we assign a value to it, 20. So here we also declare variables in the same manner, but this time we specify what type of data it holds. So here attribute name holds a string, so I mean to say its data type is string. So age is equal to 20, meaning to say the data that age holds is, or the type of data that age holds is int or integer. Okay, and then the section, which is a single character, meaning to say that the type of data that section holds is character. So that's it. So that's how we declare a variable or a member variable. Next, methods. A Java program is a collection of collaborating objects. Okay, so by the term collaborating, we mean whenever an object needs some task to be done, it invokes a method of a class that could provide the service. So here's an example. We have here the system.out, the println, and then hello world. System is a class and calls its attribute out, which is of type printstream, which is another class. Okay, so we have here two classes, the system and the printstream. And then out is a variable or attribute from the printstream class. And from the printstream class, we use the println method to print the string inside the double quote. So meaning to say, for example, you have a sample class. Okay, so sample class. So this is your class. And then inside the implementation of the sample class, we have the system.out.println. So meaning to say this sample class here retrieve a method from the system using the out object of type printstream to call the println. So we have here two classes that collaborates with your sample class in order to print a text or a string. So here, as you could see, this program is a collaborating classes in order to perform a single task. Okay, so that's how method works. That's why we always um, make some inheritance, or we always make some uh, some of the methods public or access modifier public so that other classes could also access that method. Okay, so just like this println here. So same goes to scanner class, wherein we have to create an instance of scanner using the keyword new. So now we have another keyword which is new. A while ago we have the access modifiers public, private, and also the um, class keyword, and now the new keyword. Okay, so using the keyword new in order for us to create an object of it and pass the system that in from system class to its constructor and use its method. Okay, so here's how we declare a scanner class. So scanner input is equals to new scanner, then inside the constructor, which we will discuss later on, is the system that in. Okay, so now this input here, it is arbitrary, meaning to say you could change its name whatever you want. So for example, ABC or SC for short term for scanner. So anything, any name that you would like to name it to your name to your object. So for example, X or anything else. Okay, and then here we use the method nextInt, meaning to say that once this instruction is executed, it would halt the process and will wait for the user to enter a number. That's why it's nextInt. This nextInt here indicates that it would halt the process and wait for the user to enter a number. And then once the user enters a number, it would assign the input to our var1. So for example, I entered 20, then the value of var1 would become 20. Okay, that's how it works. So we're already familiar with the syntax template of the method main as shown below. So this is the method definition or method signature of the main class. So observe that the method consists of two parts. The first one is the header or method signature, which is this one. And then the next one is the method body. So the statement inside the method. So the header starts with the keyword public that makes the method accessible to other classes or objects. So if you use the keyword private, the method cannot be invoked by other objects. Okay. So most of the time, the methods are have an access modifier public in order for other classes to or objects to use that method. The header starts with the keyword public that makes the method accessible to other objects. And then the keyword static, so another keyword refers to the static that the method main is shared by all objects belonging to the class. Okay? So for the present, note that we define all the methods other than the main as non-static. So meaning to say if you're going to create a method outside the main class, we're not going to use a static keyword. So those are non-static. So for the present note, ayan, that we define all the other than main as non-static. Okay. And as such, the keyword static will be omitted. Okay. The next keyword is the return type of the method. The method main is a void method. So in a method, the correct return type needs to be specified. So after the return type, you must provide an identifier as the name of the method. So here uh, the keyword return type here is the void. So meaning to say after the static or before the identifier, which is main, we have the return type. Meaning to say class, once you use this method here, we have to return something. So for example, I created a method, let's just say public. So public, and then let's just say this method is not included in the main class. So we will specify the return type. So public int, and then sum. So we have the sum, and then here, since it's optional, so I'm not gonna, or maybe we should add, for example, one or two numbers. So let's just say we have two numbers. So those numbers are of type int, int x, and then also the int y. Let's say we have that variables. Okay. So inside the implementation, we have to return something. So return. Okay. We have to return. Sorry for the. Okay. So return, but that's return, and then the sum, or let's just say x plus y, then semicolon. Okay. So we have here the return x plus y, meaning to say uh, this sum here, once we call this sum and supply some values inside the parameters or arguments, uh, it would return the result. So x plus y. So this one, this x here is an integer, y is an integer. So if we add these two, we will get an integer. That's the return. Okay, we will return the result, which is an integer. Return the result, which is of type integer. Okay, just like in Excel, once we use the sum function, it would return the result to you as a number. That's how return type works. But in this case, since this is void, meaning to say we're not gonna return anything. Okay, so if you don't want to return anything, then therefore it should be void. So once the return type of a method is void, you're not gonna include this into your code, this return here. Return is another keyword. Okay, so avoid using it as a name of the variable. So that's the naming convention for methods is identical to that of an instance variable, okay, which is the camel case. So the header ends with a list of formal parameters or arguments that are enclosed within a pair of parentheses. So just like this in our main method, we have the name of the method, and then we have the uh, open and close parentheses, and then inside of it is the parameters. Okay, so the formal parameter list in this case is the string array. So these are the formal parameters. We have the data type and also the name or the identifier of that variable. Okay, so you need to know arrays for a full explanation. So mean to say this not yet a part of our discussion, yung mismong array natin. And then the list of formal parameters in a method header can be empty. So this one could be omitted. But in the case of the main method, since this is the method signature of the main, meaning to say you cannot omit this string array args here. So it's included in the method signature. Unless if you're going to create another class or another method, so you could omit these parameters inside the parentheses. Okay. So just like this one, for example, we have uh, the display method. Just say display. We have the display method. So this is a small d, and then we have the open and close parentheses. Okay. So however the pair enclosing the formal parameter can be omitted. Okay. So the pair of parentheses enclosing the formal parameter cannot be omitted. So since it's a method, it is required that it has a open and close parentheses after the name of the method. A constructor is used to initialize attributes, instance, member variables. The syntax template of a constructor can be thought of as a mutator or setter method with no return type and name, the same as the name of the class. Okay, so and the name is the same as the of the class. Thus, a constructor for the stock class. So, for example, we have created a class named stock, and then can be written as follows. So here we have the class stock. So let's just say we created a class stock. So this is how we create a constructor. So this is the constructor. It's just like a method. It has an open and close parenthesis of its name. And notice that it doesn't have a return type. Okay? And it doesn't have a static. It only has the access modifier, the name of the class itself, so stock, and then the parameters. Okay? So in our stock class, we have four attributes. We have the number of shares, symbol, first name, and email. So we only initialize them and assign a value to it once an instance of stock is created. Okay? So we pass two parameters, share and fname, from the caller and assign it to number of shares and first name respectively. So here's an example. So once you created an instance, the constructor for that class will automatically be executed by the program. So we have here the 15 and then John creating instance of class stock. So using the new keyword, we created a an instance of the class stock. So we have here the new keyword is used to give signal to the compiler that the program will allocate a memory to the object or instance of the class. Okay, so which is this one. So here we have the characters and string. In our previous module, we enclosed text inside a pair of double quotes to represent a string. So like this. So we have here the statement, hello, Laguna State Polytechnic University, Santa Cruz. So it is enclosed in double quotes to indicate that it is a string. So every character has a positional value in a string, and the positional value of the first character in a string is 0. That's not O, that's 0. So the positional value of the second character is 1, and so on, including spaces. So it starts with 0. So this H here is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the space 6. Okay? So it's always n minus 1. Okay? And then the length of the string above is 53. And the highest positional value, which is index, is 52, starting from 0. So meaning to say, in order to compute for the highest index, we only need to deduct 1 to the length of our string. Okay? So if you're going to count the characters, including the special characters and also the space, it would give you 53. So I just want you to validate that. Okay, so for example, we only have here the hello and then the exclamation point. So the length of this hello here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the length of this hello, including the exclamation point, is 6. But the highest index or positional value of this string hello is 5. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the highest positional value. Okay? And then in Java, A with double quotes or inside the double quotes and A inside the single quote are different. Okay? So here, A with double quotes is a string of length 1, while A in single quote is a character. So notice that the quotation marks from both letters, and if string has double quotes, a character has a pair of single quotation. So the character data type represents single characters. A single character can be of any of the letters from A to Z, small letter A to Z, and then capital letters A to Z, and then digits 0 to 9. and special characters, which is this list here, and so on. Okay, I think you could check the ASCII table for the characters. So those are the list of characters that the character data type can represent. So that's all for now for our um, attributes, methods, and also for the string and also the constructors. So I hope that you understand it. And that's all for now. Thank you and God bless.